Thousands of years ago, Egypt was not just the desert we know today. It was a land full of life thanks to the Nile River. The Nile was not just a river, it was a lifeline, a gift of the gods that made the land fertile and allowed agriculture to flourish. From its banks, one of the greatest civilizations in history was born. Over 5,000 years ago, small villages along the Nile began to unite, until the first centralized state in history was born. King Menes, or Narmer, was the first to unite Upper and Lower Egypt under a single crown. From here began the story of the Pharaohs, rulers of the land who were seen as the children of the gods. After the unification of Egypt by King Narmer, the foundations of the ancient Egyptian state began to emerge. Major cities rose along the Nile, and agriculture flourished thanks to its annual floods. The Nile was the lifeline that provided food, water, and transportation, making Egypt one of the most fertile lands of the ancient world. As Egyptian civilization flourished, the need arose for a way to record events and organize state affairs. Thus, hieroglyphic writing was born, used by the ancient Egyptians on temple walls and papyri. It was not just a means of communication, but also a sacred art that expressed thought, religion, and history. Religion was a central part of ancient Egyptian life. Pharaohs and common Egyptians worshipped a vast pantheon of gods and goddesses, each representing a force or aspect of life. Temples served as centers for rituals and ceremonies, where priests and priestesses performed rites to appease the gods, meticulously recorded in hieroglyphs and artistic depictions. Daily life in the time of the pharaohs was rich with details. Agriculture along the Nile, nourished by the annual flood, was the foundation of prosperity. In the markets, people exchanged goods such as food, tools, and jewelry. At home, the family was the core of society, with women playing an important role in managing the household and raising children. Pharaonic art and architecture reflected their greatness and belief in eternity. The pyramids and temples were not merely buildings, but sacred messages carved in stone. Walls were filled with colourful paintings recording daily life and religious rituals, while statues embodied the power of gods and kings. These artistic and architectural masterpieces made the civilization of the pharaohs eternal in the memory of the world. Religion was at the core of daily life for the pharaohs. They believed that earthly life was only a brief stage, and that true existence began after death. This is why they perfected mummification and built majestic tombs like the Valley of the Kings, ensuring a safe passage to the afterlife. Gods such as Osiris, Isis, and Ra played central roles in their faith, symbolizing the sun, creation, and eternal life. After death, the pharaohs did not see the end, but the beginning of the journey to eternity. That is why they built the Valley of the Kings in Thebes, modern Luxor, where majestic tombs were carved deep into the mountains. In this valley, great rulers such as Ramses II and Tutankhamun were laid to rest, with tombs filled with treasures and inscriptions telling the story of life, death, and rebirth. The Valley of the Kings was not just a burial site, but a sacred book written in stone. The pharaohs believed that death was not an end, but the beginning of a new journey to an eternal realm. In the hall of divine judgment, the heart was weighed against the feather of Ma'at, the symbol of truth and justice. If the heart was pure, its owner would gain eternal life in the fields of peace. But if it was heavy with sins, it would be devoured by a terrifying beast called Ammit. This belief inspired the pharaohs to dedicate their lives to morality, rituals, and preparation for the afterlife. In the heart of pharaonic civilization, myths were not mere tales, but reflections of human values and emotions. One of the most beautiful stories is the love story of Osiris and Isis. She loved him with an indescribable devotion. When he was killed by his brother Set, she did not give up. She gathered his scattered body and brought him back to life through the magic of her love. This story became a symbol of eternal romance and loyalty that transcends death, showing that love, for the pharaohs, was a force capable of restoring life itself. But the story of Osiris was not all love and peace, for his brother Set plotted a treacherous scheme to assassinate him. Set exploited Osiris's trust, crafting a luxurious coffin and luring the king inside. Once Osiris entered, Set sealed it shut and cast it into the Nile. Thus began one of the greatest tragedies in Egyptian mythology, a tragedy that would later reveal the strength of Isis and the birth of Horus. After Osiris was killed by Set, Isis gave birth to her child Horus in a sacred manner, according to pharaonic rituals. Horus became a symbol of hope and rebirth, representing justice and light against darkness and chaos. Horus was raised under his mother's protection, trained to be strong and wise, until the day he confronted Set to restore balance to the kingdom and cosmic order. The time had come for Horus to face his uncle Set, who had killed his father Osiris. Their confrontation was more than a struggle for the throne. It was a battle between good and evil, between order and chaos. Horus stood as the symbol of light and justice, while Set embodied darkness and betrayal. And within the temple grounds, the greatest legendary battle of Egyptian mythology erupted, a clash that would decide the fate of the kingdom and the balance of the cosmos. While the Battle of Horus and Set is a myth, it wasn't just a fantasy. The ancient Egyptians linked their pharaohs to Horus. Every new king was seen as the living Horus, the victorious one, to legitimize his rule and maintain cosmic order. Even temples like the Temple of Edfu preserved the legendary details of this epic struggle. After understanding the mythological aspect of the kings, let's look at their real life. Pharaohs were not just rulers, but central figures in every detail of the kingdom. Their day was filled with official receptions, religious ceremonies, and overseeing massive construction projects. They also closely monitored administration and economy, making critical decisions to maintain the stability of the state. After understanding the mythological aspect of the kings, let's look at their real life. Pharaohs were not just rulers, but central figures in every detail of the kingdom. Their day was filled with official receptions, religious ceremonies, and overseeing massive construction projects. They also closely monitored administration and economy, making critical decisions to maintain the stability of the state. The pharaoh's power did not rely only on armies and temples, but also on trade and international relations. They traded gold, papyrus, and precious stones with their neighbours, while importing wood and incense from Punt. Caravans and ships moved along the Nile and the Red Sea, making Egypt a global economic hub of its time. For the pharaohs, trade was not merely economic. It was a bridge between daily life and the spiritual world. Incense from Punt was used in temple rituals, while gemstones were believed by priests to hold magical powers for protection and healing. Thus, trade intertwined with faith, paving the way into the mystical world of priests and magic in ancient Egyptian civilization. Priests in ancient Egypt held immense power, not only as religious figures, but also as magicians. They combined science, faith, and magic, using spells to protect people from evil spirits and to heal diseases alongside medicine. Curses were inscribed on tomb walls to deter thieves, adding to the awe and mystery of pharaonic magic. We have seen how the ancient Egyptians combined mythology and religion, magic and science, agriculture and trade, even death and immortality. A civilization that continues to fascinate the world to this very day. But our journey is not over yet. Many more civilizations await us in the upcoming episodes. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new release. And tell us in the comments, what fascinated you the most about ancient Egypt?